So I thought, okay, why it's so hard? I want to see why it's hard. So I just jumped into JS. I was exploring all the stuff. Then I realized it's really beautiful. That flaws make it more beautiful. So I thought,
Hmm.
okay, I'm going to stick with it. A product company for the first time, and that shift was very dynamic. So you suddenly see a shift in how you operate, how you function. So I don't aim for every other company. That's not how I function. I'm very much streamlined. I have list of maybe 10 to 20 companies, and that's it. I want to work in that companies in my career on LinkedIn or somewhere.
Hmm.
Just read through their blogs, understand how they function, get that connectivity. Most innovative company in the world. So I was curious why it's most innovative. So that's when I was following ServiceNow, and 2 years later I was into ServiceNow. Being one of the interviewers, so I cannot directly tell the questions, but I'll
Obviously.
tell something similar.
Hello everyone. Today we have KiranKumar, a front-end developer at Atlassian. So he has previously worked with companies like ServiceNow and TCS. Like in this video, we are going to talk about front-end interview process and the expectations once you join the company, basically companies like Atlassian. So the interesting part is he's also an angel investor and an open source contributor too, which is very shocking for people who may be knowing, oh, a software developer being an angel investor. Yes, he is basically. So not just limited to that, we are going to cover the myth around just cracking interviews is enough, or you have to think about more once you join the company. There are many other parameters that you have to think about. So with that, so Kiran is also going to talk about his roles, responsibility, challenges that he is solving and facing basically at Atlassian without wasting any further time. So calling Kiran on the stage to share his journey and basically an eye opener for everyone. Hey Kiran, welcome, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Chirag.
How are you doing?
Good, good. How about you?
Yeah, likewise, I'm doing awesome. Okay, with that, Kiran, why don't you talk about your journey in the industry? Basically, I see you have a lot of experience in the industry in different sectors, domain, and whatnot.
Yep. Yeah, thanks. Coming to my introduction, so I started my career with just like lot of grads with TCS. So I was one of the 105 hires from my college, and I was put into some training in Java. So I don't know where I was heading to, but I was into one project where I was working with Java initially, but I got introduced to JavaScript, and that's when I thought, no, I can't go back to Java again, because what happened is many people told me JS is so hard. So I thought, okay, why it's so hard? I want to see why it's hard. So I just jumped into JS. I was exploring all the stuff. Then I realized it's really beautiful. That flaws make it more beautiful. So I thought,
Hmm.
okay, I'm going to stick with it and see where it takes me. And yeah, and I don't regret even a bit choosing JS. So from there, I was working in React JS and Redux, and then I moved to Value Labs, which is a smaller company. So I tend to like smaller companies because you get a lot of exposure.
Yeah.
Then there I was working with Vue.js, which is again a different ball game. So one framework already, then you need to adjust whatever you have that knowledge to a different framework.
Yeah.
But it's been not a tough journey because really helps you as a framework, and then the knowledge you already have, so that helped me. And then my third company is ServiceNow. So it's a different switch again. So I'm into a product company for the first time, and that shift was very dynamic. So you suddenly see a shift in how you operate, how you function, the kind of scrum events you have, and the kind of work culture you have. And then finally I'm into Atlassian. Again, I came back to React now, so I'm working back after I think 6 long years. I came back to React. Everything changed. TypeScript came in, and yeah, but it's good to be back to React. That is something which I missed in Service now because they have something internal. Then it's good to be back to React and do some stuff around that.
Awesome. I think your journey has been roller coaster eventually, if I can see. That's awesome. I think that is going to bring a lot of value to the people who are actually watching this. Okay, so with that, why don't you talk about your interview journey at Atlassian? Like, how did you started applying and how did you ended up getting the offer letter?
Okay, yeah. So everyone feel we might get interview calls via referrals, but to be very honest, I have given interviews to lot of FANG companies, you say, or big tech companies, but I never got a referral. So yeah, one thing I would say is get your resume right. I don't believe in ATS system and all. uh, I think it's just marketing gimmick. So you just have to have right keywords, that is for sure, because at least you should match whatever the job is expecting. But other than that, just you don't need any fancy resume. I'm saying don't put a photo also, it's fine. You just have to have it very simple. Just have the keywords right, that's it. Have your experiences or the achievements right, that's all you need. You don't even need a bigger resume. Just 2 pages is fine. I never uh, went more than two. And so how I applied, so as I said, it's career portal. And see, the problem is we easily give up. So my advice is don't give up, because I at one stage I was receiving at least two rejection mails every day continuously for so many days. But it's, you should just take it as a motivation. The moment you see a rejection mail, send again, apply again, because you are already rejected. You are not going to get a call for the same role. Apply again, no issues, because at max you're going to get one more mail, that's it. So it doesn't make any difference. So I, that's how I take it. And one other thing, one other approach I have, I don't know if this makes sense, but it made perfect sense to me, that so I, we all have very limited career. So for me, I have a bucket list of companies where I need to work. So I don't aim for every other company. That's not how I function. I'm very much streamlined. I have list of maybe 10 to 20 companies, and that's it. I want to work in that companies in my career, because at max maybe 20 25 years of career. So I just want to stick to these companies. So I'm, so that made my process much easier. So I know what they are expecting. I can easily pinpoint what exactly they are going to look at, and that kind of made sense for my preparation. And yeah, applying, it's fine. Just apply through careers. Referral, it helps, it definitely helps. I'm not saying
Yeah.
you should not get referrals, but yeah, if you're not getting referral, don't get demotivated. You can still apply to careers and still get into companies. I'm the example, I never got a referral. So yeah, that's how. So I was applying through just career portals. And yeah, I was, so but one thing is follow that companies, I would say. Just follow the companies on LinkedIn or somewhere. Just read through their blogs, understand how they function, get that connectivity. Because why I'm saying that is, I have been following service now 2 years before I joined.
Okay.
So the moment, I think it was in 2018 when it was Fortune's uh, one most innovative company. I don't know it's Fortune or Forbes, but most innovative company in the world. So I was curious why it's most innovative. So that's when I was following ServiceNow, and 2 years later I was into ServiceNow. And
Got
I
it.
was following Atlassian since so long. The moment I started using Jira, I was trying to see, okay, Jira, then Confluence, again it's from Atlassian. Then I used Bitbucket, again it's from Atlassian. So it was, and I built a Trello clone. It was way back. I think I was not in ServiceNow also, and again Trello was bought by Atlassian. So again, yeah, all this made sense. Okay, I kind of followed this company so long, so I know how it functions, the kind of culture they have. So it made, I think made my uh, entry much easier, because I already connected even before I joined.
Got it. I like the two things that you talked about. One thing that you talked about, you can't have double rejection. You already rejected what you lose, you don't have.
Yes.
And the visibility in terms of what where you wanted to work, which helps you to at least has some focus and the direction. I like that. Okay, so with that, I think I have one more interesting for that. So let's drill down into what are the different interview rounds that you have seen basically in Atlassian, and what were the expectation at a high level that you were having.
Yeah, good question. So for Atlassian, we have very uh, I mean, the process is very simple. And front end interview makes perfect sense in Atlassian, so it's purely perfect in front end interview. So uh, we have, I mean, even if you just Google, you'll just understand what are the rounds. So we have something called as browser coding round, wherein we do some kind of component building. And we have JavaScript coding round, where we try to build some util in JavaScript. So it's purely JavaScript round. So there is no, it's vanilla JS. So you don't have to worry about anything. So you just have to build some util, and there will be a lot of follow-up questions, obviously, uh, related to how you handle exceptions or performance or concurrency, whatnot, promises. And browser coding, one good thing I want to mention is we work in React.js, but we never enforce React.js in interviews. So we are very open. Whatever framework you're comfortable, just you can go ahead and use it, and there would be no objections. Even if you're comfortable using vanilla.js, it's totally fine.
Got
So
it.
it's up to candidate to choose a framework they are comfortable with, the tools they are comfortable with, and they can go ahead with that. And then we have system design round. Yeah. So I'll speak about this, I think, in follow up questions. But yeah, so system design round, and here, yeah, system design. So it's up to the interviewer how, I mean, interviewee as a candidate, how I drive it. Yeah, I think I'll drill down once we get to discuss more about system design.
Got
And
it.
yeah, other rounds are managerial and values. So these are pretty much similar rounds what you face in other big tech companies as well. Just how well you align with the company values, how you resonate with the company culture. So that's what we see in managerial and values. But it's pretty simple process, and yeah, it just interview, the people are so nice. So unlike other companies. So yeah,
I have so many things to deep dive into, and eventually we will. Don't worry. So
yeah.
one thing is, many people are actually looking for. Can you help with some examples in different rounds, basically in terms of questions, as an expectation where they understand when we say most of them are like maybe plain vanilla script, or say suppose you can write anything in any framework. So what are the different expectations people can have or practice basically?
Okay. So being one of the interviewers, so I cannot directly tell the questions, but I'll
Obviously.
tell something similar. So browser coding, as I mentioned, so it's you can just say it as a, low-level design round. So what you say in other companies, where you get to build any components. So for example, we have star rating, right? So we have star rating. So the expectation would be, I mean, uh, yeah, obviously it will be at different milestones. So whereas uh, first one would be just, are you able to do the simplest part, hover it, you are showing something selection, are you selecting the stars or not. Then there will be a lot of follow-ups, how hover function works, how click and cancel works, how you can clear it. So the problem statement will be very clear, and it will be built on top of one another. So once you do something, so there will be a lot of follow-ups. But the browser coding round, as it mentions, so we are trying to see an output. So in the browser, we are trying to see something that you are going to build in that 1 hour or so. uh, so obviously you're going to use HTML, CSS, and JS.
Yeah.
Framework, as I mentioned, it's up to you. So whatever framework you're comfortable, you can just do it. And the expectation just rises with roles again. So that's like any other company. But yeah, it's pretty much very easy round. I just have to pay attention to the question and just know your basics, right, and put that into, I mean, you just have to manage your stress. That's anywhere, not just here. But if you can build it, it's that's very easy. I mean, the beauty is, so we are trying to see an output. So if you can show it, it's done, you know, already you're cleared. So
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, that's very easy way to clear any round, not just Atlassian, any LLD round. Show the output. And
First show the output and then think about performance optimization, what other things can be improved on the further side of the thing.
yes,
But working code is something people want.
yes, don't over optimize, because it's fine if your code is not optimized. First show the output, then optimize anything if you have time. No one
Yeah.
will question anything. If the standards are wrong, it's still okay, but first show the output, because that's a topmost. If everything is so perfect but it's not working, it doesn't make sense.
Got
And
it.
yeah, and JS coding, it's as I said, purely JS coding. So it's very easy. We just give a function, so we expect it would return something. Then we tweak it using promises, or we just think it as a, we have a API call. So how do you invoke it? Then we introduce something like concurrency, like how does it works with concurrency and
Mm-hmm.
how error handling works and stuff. So it's very easy. I mean, the questions are not hard. It's how we drive that eventually results in either getting in or getting out. But questions are really, really easy. Like in the first
Correct.
go, you will just feel, is this a question I need? So when I honestly saying, when I faced this question in my JS round, so it was very easy. I implemented, I think, in 5 to 10 minutes,
Okay.
and I thought, okay, it's damn easy. Then all the
The
follow.
story begins.
Yes,
The follow-up begins.
just the base. So that's
Hmm.
when everything starts. So how do you handle all multiple stuffs and all? But yeah, I cannot directly disclose questions, but
Which is fair enough. Yeah.
yeah, but it's really, really easy questions. Questions are not hard. No.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sounds fair. So what about DSA round? Is there any DSA round that we have? And if that's what our expectation. Okay, so
No.
people who are watching this, if you are not looking for direct DSA data structure problem statement, then Atlassian is for you. But
Yes.
what I've heard, like you may not have a direct question, but indirect questions in different rounds related to the problem solving, which eventually, if you are a good problem solver, then only you can actually do that.
Yes. So when I say there is no DSA, the main idea is, what I'm trying to say is, there is no lead code kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because what I have heard or known mostly is, when people hear DSA, they directly correlate with lead code, but it's not. That's not exactly how we should think, because if you just think of the DOM tree, right? It's a tree. So we are just saying, so it has traversals. So if
Yeah.
I have to move to one node, I need to know how DFS or BFS works. So so when I say there is no DSA question, so I'm saying there is no lead code type of question. But if someone says to build you something like a folder structure,
Uh-huh.
so you need to have that idea of how graphs or trees work.
Correct. Yeah.
So you eventually you need that understanding of how some DS works, how some data structures work, like how at least graphs, trees, strings, and arrays, because these are some things which we use every day in front end. So
Correct.
so you don't have to know DP that, okay, but at least you should know how graphs and all the traversal work, because that is a least expectation, right? So if you are trying to, so for example, in the browser coding round itself, you got something to build in kind of a tree. So you need to know how you move, how you parse your JSON data,
Correct.
the array of objects with some children. How do you
Correct.
get it? How do you render it? So you need to know some part of DS, but it's not like you need to solve tons of lead code. No, but get the basics right, get the understanding right. Just see how you can apply that into front end world, and that should be fine. I'm not speaking in just terms of Atlassian. There are a lot of companies which do hire without any lead code questions actually.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that was a very fair thing. Like as a front-end developer, you cannot like go away from get rid of the problem solving, which is there in the root of that. Even as a software engineer, you cannot skip problem solving. Huh? DSA in terms of lead code DSA, probably you have to double think. But that
Yes.
brings me an interesting thing. Nowadays, system design, front-end system design round is something which is very popular in almost all the company. What about Atlassian? Do we have front-end system design round over there? If yes, what is the expectation that we have?
Okay. So before I answer this question, I think I need to give a disclaimer. So Chirag didn't pay me to say anything. So yeah, the only resource I followed for system design. So first of all, is there any system design round? So yes, as I mentioned earlier, so we do have a system design round in Atlassian, and it's pretty much like any system design round you expect. So there is a problem statement, and it's up to you how you drive it. And one thing I would advise is the candidate should drive it. So if you are giving an interview, just see that you are driving it, you'll almost nail it. So you should be driving the interview and not the other way around. And yeah, one resource I followed, only one resource, is Chirag's playlist. Yeah, as I said, Chirag didn't pay me anything, but yeah, because I don't want to, I mean, there are a lot of resources, but I found Chirag's playlist much more uh, in sync with how I think about any problem. And yeah, one resource is I think good enough. Like you don't have to confuse yourself with lot of resource. Chirag has ton of things ready. So yeah, so if so how do you tackle? So Chirag already said better, but I'll just summarize it. So when you get a problem, just try to understand what are the requirements you have, functional, non-functional. Just scope it, then do some technical discussion. Then once this part is done, once you have everything ready, then that's when you go and see what are the components you need, what are the data model you need, how they flow. And one thing which I would really advise is get comfortable with one of the drawing tool, one board. So it can be Excel draw or some other, but just comfortable. And one good thing about Atlassian is we are not strict about tool also. So if you are familiar with one some other tool, just you can use it. If not, we also provide one, but we just try to be more flexible in that. And which I feel is a good thing, because different tools have functionality placed in different places. And if you are already familiar with that, and if we give a different tool, so we are not doing justice. So that's one good thing which I really liked. So I was familiar with one of the tools, so which I used. And yeah, question is pretty small. You don't have to worry about questions. Actually, you never have to worry about questions. It's how you drive it any round, because questions are very simple. If someone says build a Facebook news feed, I think I was discussing this with Chirag long back. Even before I
Yeah.
gave the interview, I designed it. But yeah, it's very simple. If some The question is very simple. They'll just say design a Facebook feed. So you need to see what you need, and you need to arrive to some conclusions, explain it in that 1 hour, and that's it. It's very easy. And yeah, follow Chirag's playlist. You know the secrets.
Thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot, Kiran. Okay, so as you have already disclosed a lot of things in terms of how to get placed in the company, right? Like at Atlassian. But there are a lot of other things, right? So first I wanted to touch upon how your career actually shifted when you moved from service-based and you see product-based company working right now. In terms of cultural, the kind of work that you do, what changes that you have seen?
Yeah, this is really a great question, because yeah, I think most of us start with service-based companies because we are one of the mass hires in colleges. Then we eventually want to move to product-based companies because we always dream of. So the shift which I have seen is, one thing is flexibility, because in service-based you kind of have this timelines which are, I mean, the deadlines are so strict, and you don't have much flexibility. For example, if I am working for a client, I don't have a say in the tech choice I make, because more often than not it's already been made by the architects of that company and or the client, and I just have to follow it. But once you move to product base, you get this flexibility of you can choose some part of tech stack. If you feel something is more uh, beneficial, so you can always introduce that, pitch in the idea, and see if that works. And you can always interact with customers and see the pain points, and you can solve it, which is always appreciated. And the way things function in a product base is completely different. I think every software engineer should experience that. That's what I dream of, because it's really a different world. And the culture is also totally different once you get into product based companies. Once you experience that culture, it's totally makes you more comfortable with this software development. That's what I would say. You'll just see a different world.
You start loving the software, basically.
Yes. And the products, because now you are owning a product. So till then you are working for someone, but once you are into a product based company, once you are into some product, now you feel like you are owning it. So every day if I open and start working on Jira frontend, I know I'm working on Jira, and which is used by like millions of people. So
Yeah.
I know I'm making a difference. Even if it's a small change, I know my change is going to be delivered across. So that is
Correct.
something which really gives pride. And even when we introduced dark mode in Jira, we were so proud, because
Yeah.
it was much asked one, and we finally introduced it. And it's not easy, because Jira being a gigantic software and used by millions, introducing a small change is like risking lot of things.
Yes, true. I can
Still,
vibe it
yes,
definitely.
yeah, I know. I know you can relate to a lot of things. But
Ye-
yeah, really, I say that shift is necessary to experience this. Whatever I say, it doesn't. it might not make sense, because if you're not in my shoes, so you'll not know exactly. And there is another notion that you might be getting paid more, so you have to work more, which is not true exactly. You might work more, but it's again, you're going to learn more. So you
Nice.
just have to correlate with that.
Awesome. I think that brings to me a very important thing which I've always wanted to ask. So, which is like we know interview, right? You prepare for interview. There are certain strategies and whatnot. People do that. Where I see Atlassian have actually started doing very good job where they start more on the practical side of thing, where what you do in job instead of popular question that you get on internet basically. So with that, my thing is like, what still there are drastic shift that you see in the terms of interview and how you work and what are the expectation at job. So what do you wanted to put some like light on that?
Okay, so I'll try my best. So the difference between what we see in preparation and the kind of work we do at work is, I mean, so if I spend a lot of time preparing something like lead code, then I would have said it's totally different, because I would have done something like a DP at my preparation, but eventually I would have went there and built something with CSS. So there will be a lot of difference. But coming to preparation for Atlassian, so what I'm exactly exploring is just front end. So one good thing is, I know I was never into system design round earlier, but when I was preparing for Atlassian, so I was trying to understand how exactly a system works. So I was trying to understand, and when I gave the interview and when I went back, so I can actually take some part with me from that preparation, that okay, now I at least know, okay, I'm trying to build a new product or a new feature, so what exactly I need to think through. So do I need to think about performance, or do I need to optimize something? So these are some things which automatically comes to your mind. And the other thing is, you're brushing up your basics again. So they don't directly help you, because again, you might see, for example, CSS. So we don't, most of us, I mean, it's not easy to master CSS. I don't want to say anything else, but it's very tough to master CSS. But again, we are not going to directly use CSS. So wherever you go, it already has some design systems which you are directly going to consume. So it's not a big thing. But knowing your basics is always good, and preparation like this will make you ready for the work. And eventually, once you get in, you still have a lot of onboarding stuff, a lot of time to learn. But definitely you see some correlation with what you prepare and what you work at, because you are going to strengthen your basics, and that's what you are going to use day in and day out once you step in. So I think that's really essential.
Got it. Anything that you wanted to highlight that we do not cover in interview, but we do very frequently when you join a company in day to day life? Any things you have top of mind?
uh, I mean, I have seen some companies which does something like pair programming, or something like code reviews in interviews, which is, uh, I feel crazy, but at the same time, I feel it's necessary, because, see, for example, being a lead, for example, my role, so being a front end lead in my product, so code reviews is day in and day out. That's my job. So
Correct.
that's part of my job. So I feel interns also should focus somewhere around this, because see, even for kind of seniors, so I think there should be some part where we also assess them, how they fit in the team, how they can take care of juniors, how they can mentor, or how they can do all this. uh, I mean, not exactly code reviews, but yeah, I think you get the point, how they can lead the team. So I
Yeah.
think that discussions should happen, so that I think that again just gives a glimpse of what the role is coming at, and also make us ready for the role. So
Awesome. I think you have actually curated in a very well format basically where tech is one part, but apart from that, as you grow in the career, there are so many other things that you have to think and take along. And obviously, you cannot skip the code review, which is then out the part of the developer, right? So
yes,
where you will get review where you have to do the review. So those things hand by hand goes on. With
yes.
that, brings me to the one and most final thing. Do you want to provide some advice to the people who are watching this? Like any tricks, tips, any career advice that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'll share what I did. So there is, I mean, don't, I mean, it's fine to do a lot of coding and stuff, but what worked for me is I used to go through all the lead code discussions or lead code interview experiences and just try to see what kind of questions were asked. And as I mentioned, I don't just look at one company. So, for example, in the bucket list, I have companies like Amazon, for example, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Atlassian, Salesforce, for example, we have some companies. So, what I do, I'll just explore all the companies' front end questions. So, just to get an idea how the industry is, the trend. So, you need to understand the trend because, as Chirag was mentioning, so earlier it was not a norm to have system design round in front end. It never was there, but now it's kind of getting into limelight, and every company is adopting that. At least for senior roles, I think every company is trying to have this round, so just to assess how they are functioning. So you need to go through all these discussions or interview experiences to understand the trend, the kind of questions you might expect. Don't expect same questions. That's
Which is
so wrong,
obvious.
but just understand the pattern. So for example, if you can build something like a tree structure on front end, I think you can build anything. Like you can build something like a Google Doc with options. It's
Yeah,
pretty similar. File folder structure, it's pretty similar. VS
yeah,
Code, it's pretty similar. So you need to understand that pattern, and it's very easy. If you understand the patterns, it's very easy. There are very few patterns, so you need to just connect the dots. And some other resource which I followed for system design, again, not a recommendation, but Chirag Goel's playlist. And I think there is bfe.dev, so which is kind of lead code-ish for front-end developers, which is really nice, but it's very exhaustive. So don't try to solve everything, but take it easy. If you want to solve some questions, it's fine. And put a lot of efforts. So when I say that, why I'm saying that is I was reading uh, Glassdoor reviews, trying to see what kind of questions asked. I was reading Blind. I was reading, uh, as I said, lead code discussions, experiences. I mean, you need to go through page 5, page 6, page 7. You need to go. So it's fine. Put that effort, get the questions, solve it. So it doesn't make sense to just see the questions, solve it, and just get that muscle memory.
yeah,
So that's what you need. So don't mug it up or just remember everything. Just build that muscle memory so that once you see the question, you know, okay, this kind of rhymes with this, so let me try this. And interviews don't expect you to solve immediately, so we are trying to see the approach first. At
yeah.
least we'll consider you if the approach is right and if you couldn't solve it. So get the approach right. So you're already halfway in. If you can solve it, yeah, you can be there.
You've crossed the threshold.
Yes.
Yeah, with that, thanks a lot, Kiran, for basically coming down and sharing that valuable like insight with a lot of the people who are actually like trying to get into the companies, wanted to do a lot of things, but in a trap of switching the company, getting 30%, 50%, then changing after 1 year and whatnot. They're not actually get into the core of what they should do. And you have really well highlighted those things. And yes, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for coming down. And yep, I hope the audience is going to love this discussion.